Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel for another moving to New Zealand themed Q&A video. I've been meaning to film this one for so long, so I'm sorry if you sent your question in ages ago. I'm finally getting to it. First, I'm going to talk about New Zealand currency. I was asked what the currency and the money is like in New Zealand, and I have all of the notes to show you and all of the coins as well. So our notes are pretty special. They are, first of all, very colourful. There's a different color for each denomination of cash. Second of all, they are plastic, waterproof, and they will melt if you leave your hair straighteners too near them. Ask me how I know. Luckily that was only a $5 note and I did still manage to spend it at McDonald's. They didn't look at it. But they will actually melt if you heat them up too much because they are plastic. They also have this little window in them with like a holographic print. So this is the $100 note, of which I almost never have. I think this is the only $100 note I've ever had. I don't generally carry cash. That is the front. There is a bird on it. There's always like some kind of wildlife on it, and then a famous person. So that is what the back looks like. And this is Lord Rutherford of Nelson. There you go. The next one down is the $50 note, and that is purple, and it looks like that. And then on the other side it looks like that. And this is Sir Apirana Nata. The $20 note is green. And on the back we have the Queen of England. And then the $10 note is blue. And that is Kate Shepherd. And then the $5 note is brown or orange. And that is Sir Edmund Hillary. So those are all of the notes that we have. Don't they look lovely? So they're different sizes as well. So if I line up the bottom and the left hand side, you can see the size difference there. Okay, so those are the notes. Then we have some coins. The smallest coin we have is 10 cents. We don't have 5 cents and we don't have pennies. So the 10-cent coin is the nearest we would have to a penny. And you're probably wondering, what happens if you go to the shop and something costs $5.99? If you pay by card, you'll pay $5.99. If you pay cash, it'll be rounded up to $6. If it's $5.95 or $5.92 or anything lower than 5, it will be rounded down and you'll only pay $5.90. So that is how the money works. If you pay by card, you just pay the full price, but if you pay by cash and it's 5 or lower, it is rounded down. If it's 6 or higher, it's rounded up. So there you go. That is the front of the 10-cent coin, and the back looks like any old coin. Nice shiny one. The next one up is a 20-cent coin, and it looks like this. And it's round, but it's got kind of little notches in the sides. You can see them. And then the back, again, typical coin. You can still see the notches. The next one up is a 50-cent coin. That is just plain round. And then we have our gold coins. Now you will sometimes hear in New Zealand that an event is by gold coin donation. That means there isn't a cover charge to go, but they invite you to bring a $1 or $2 coin to donate to whatever cause the event is for. So this is a $1 coin. It is gold. It's very similar to the pound coin in England. It's kind of thick. And then the $2 coin is the same but bigger. I'll see if I can stack them up with each other. So the biggest is $2, then 50 cents, then $1, 20 cents, and 10 cents. So those are our coins. So I hope that answers the question of currency in New Zealand. Next question is, while visiting New Zealand, can we visit an elementary school? Yes, you can visit any schools you'd like to check out while you're visiting New Zealand. Just get in touch with the school in question and somebody will be happy to meet with you, to show you around and to answer any questions. But be aware of term times. Most schools have a website which will have the term times on there, or you can Google to find out what the term times are. But if you're coming between, say, mid to late December until February, the schools will be closed, so you're unlikely to have somebody to meet you and show you around. So just check out term times and then get in touch with the school and you can go and visit any school you'd like to. Next question is, please take a picture of your electronic plugs. So the plugs here are obviously different. So I'll insert some footage here showing you a comparison of a New Zealand plug next to a UK plug, just so you can compare for size and how they differ. New Zealand plugs, if you buy an appliance, it will likely look like this. They are plugs that go into the wall and stick straight out, which is kind of annoying if, for example, you've plugged in a lamp and you want to push a chest of drawers in front of it. So you've got a lamp sitting on a chest of drawers, and now your chest of drawers has to have a big gap between it and the wall because of how the plug sticks out of the wall. Super annoying. What we did when we replaced our plugs from England, we bought side entry plugs and they look like this. So they're much flatter, they fit behind furniture a lot more easily. Obviously, if you've bought an appliance or something with a New Zealand plug and it sticks straight out the wall like the ones I showed, you can cut that off and replace it with a side entry plug. I just bought these at Bunnings or Mitre 10 Mega or wherever, just whatever hardware store you can buy side entry plugs if you're replacing your plugs when you get here. The next question is, how did you make friends online? How did you connect with people in New Zealand prior to your move, and what websites did you use? I think I've probably answered this before, but I got in touch with somebody in Pukekohe, which is where we were moving to, just by chance on the internet. I wasn't really into scrapbooking anymore, but I thought that was something that I could do to meet people. So I was Googling while we were still in England, like probably a year before we even moved. I was Googling scrapbooking groups or crops, or scrapbooking meeting Pukekohe, and Nick Howard came up. She used to be a scrapbooking teacher, she's written books, and she used to run scrapbooking retreats and everything. I wasn't familiar with her or her work, but I found her blog, and in her blog I was like looking through it, and there was a layout all about their visit to a local beach and how wonderful it is to live in New Zealand and all the natural beauty they can enjoy. So I left a comment on her blog saying, oh, that's wonderful to hear, because we're planning on moving to New Zealand and this is exactly the thing we're looking for, and in fact we're going to be moving to Pukekohe. So she replied to me and got in touch saying, oh, that's amazing, like let me know if I can help you in any way. So we started a bit of a friendship via email, and she was super helpful in rounding up things to borrow from friends to lend to us before our goods arrived in our container. She went and checked out the house that we were going to rent and told us if it was in a good area. She advised us on which schools to look at. So that was super helpful, and that's how I got in touch with her. Obviously that's not going to be the process for everybody, and if you're looking to find somebody in your area when you're moving to New Zealand, look on Facebook for local buy, sell, swap groups, look for parenting groups, anything like that in the area that you are looking at. Also, I have a Moving to New Zealand Facebook group, which I'll link down below. There are over 4,000 members there, all people who are wanting to make the move to New Zealand or in the process of moving or have just moved, who are happy to support others doing the same. So maybe you can meet somebody online in that way who's actually going through the same thing as you, and you can kind of support each other through it. I've also mentioned before the forum called British Expats that we used for information before we made the move. However, with any of these groups, please be careful of chronic complainers. British Expats in particular is full of people who have made the move to New Zealand who are just complaining and moaning about how horrible things are. The people who have made the move successfully, who have settled well, and who are happily enjoying their lives are not on those forums. They are out happily enjoying their lives. So if you read these forums and see all of the negativity, you may be thinking, what am I doing? Am I making a mistake? It sounds awful. There's all these problems. Every country has problems. And if you want to sit and focus on the negative, yes, you will be unhappy, and that's what some of those people are doing. They are unhappy after having made the move, and they are complaining about it online. And part of the reason they are unhappy is probably because they tend to focus on the negative. So those forums can be helpful for information about which shipping company to use, or little tips and tricks you may not have thought of, or how to clean goods before shipping them. But just take it with a grain of salt if you see people complaining about life in New Zealand. Yes, there are ups and downs, and it will suit some people and it won't suit others, and some people settle really easily and some people struggle, but make your experience your experience. Focus on the positive and hopefully you'll have a good experience. The next question is, are there flea markets or garage sales in New Zealand? If so, where can I find them? Is there a local newspaper with specific ad section for those kind of things, or is there a website? I don't know of any flea markets. They might exist in New Zealand, but I'm not aware of any. As for garage sales, it's not a typical everyone goes garage sailing on a Saturday morning and you can find them. It's more infrequent than that. Some people might have one once every 10 years. If there are garage sales, there are usually signs posted. It will probably be advertised in a local buy, sell, swap group on Facebook. If you have a community newsletter, it will probably be in there. I don't know about newspapers, possibly. I don't really tend to read newspapers, but you'll see them. You'll become aware of them through some way or another, maybe a notice on a community notice board or something like that. So people do have garage sales, but it's not everyone all the time. There could be weeks where there are no garage sales, and then there could be times where 2 or 3 people are having it. Some neighborhoods hold garage sale trails where everybody will get their used stuff out at the same time and have their goodies available for sale, and you'll get a map of the neighborhood who's actually holding a garage sale, and you can go to all of them on the same day. The next question is, what fast food restaurants are there? And they specifically asked about Mexican restaurants. So everywhere you go, there'll be McDonald's, Subway, Domino's, Pizza Hut, KFC, the usual contenders. In some areas there's Carl's Jr. There is a Mexican chain called Mexicali. There are independent Mexican restaurants, and pretty much everywhere you go there are sushi restaurants. There's a takeout restaurant called And Bowl. If you go into a mall and you go to the food court, you will always see sushi. There will probably be some Indian food where you can get a curry, and Pita Pit is another one. You probably see that in a mall food court. So I think that answers your question. There's something for everyone. I have an extremely limited diet. I've talked about it on my channel before. I have Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune disease, so I have to be very careful about what I eat. And if I'm out and about, I can usually get a salad from Subway, or I can get sushi, or Carl's Jr. does their burgers without the bun. You can just have it in a lettuce wrap. So there's always something to find. Nando's is another chain. We don't have one locally, but they are in New Zealand, and I really enjoy that food as well. There are lots of choices for takeout. Mexican, there are Mexican restaurants, but I wouldn't say that they're everywhere. There are a few in Auckland that I know of. Further afield, I don't know, because I haven't visited any other areas where I've seen Mexican restaurants. I was asked about preparing homeschoolers for standards in New Zealand. I am not a homeschooler, but I do know of a website that is helpful for homeschoolers, and I will leave that linked down below. It is nchенz.org.nz. And then the last question I'm going to answer in today's video is, what's your thoughts on New Zealand schooling versus South Africa and England? No worries if it's too hard to compare, since I know the boys were only little when you moved from UK. That is a great question, but I'm not sure how well I can answer it. So I attended primary school and high school in South Africa, and our children began school in England, and then obviously we've moved here. So we've experienced primary school in England, primary school and intermediate school and high school in New Zealand, and then primary school and high school in South Africa. It's very hard to compare, partly because my schooling years were many years ago. I graduated in 1993. I do feel like there's more of a similarity between South Africa, as I remember it, and New Zealand. I kind of didn't really feel that correlation when we were in England. As far as the actual work goes and the way the schools are run, that's going to differ from school to school. It's really hard to compare, or to kind of, if I'd gone to school in South Africa and then gone to school here, I could have given you a better comparison, especially current versus now, whereas my schooling in South Africa was many years ago, and I didn't attend school in England either, so it's hard to compare as well. So I guess I'll just share a few thoughts about the schooling in New Zealand. First of all, in England, when you drop your kid at school, especially when they're little, you have to take them to the classroom and hand them over before you can leave, or you take them to the playground and they'll play, and then once school is in, they'll go inside and then you can leave. In New Zealand, kids, even little kids, will walk to school by themselves. It's safe, and that independence is encouraged here. Same with picking up. In England, you'd have to go and stand on the playground, at least this was my experience in the school that my boys were in, and the teacher would actually have to make eye contact with you before sending your child out of the class to you, and then you could leave. Here, again, the kids just walk home by themselves. You don't have to be there to pick them up. I don't know if it's different for little kids. My kids were 6 and 9 when we moved over, so that's how it is for 6 and 9-year-olds. My kids could walk to school by themselves. I didn't need to be there to show my face to the teacher to hand them over or to collect them. Whereas I believe in England, I was still having to make eye contact with the teacher before my 6-year-old was sent out to me. Both of my kids are in high school now, but when they were in primary school, the primary school would meet with the parents and ask them for any suggestions and how they thought things should go. They would discuss the programs with them, and they asked us things like, do you want your kids to have homework? Our answer was yes, if the homework is needed, if they need to brush up in a particular area, if they're falling behind somewhere or need to put in extra work, but otherwise don't just give homework for the sake of giving homework. And my child had no homework that year, and it was amazing for all of us. They would also let the kids kind of dictate how they learned, in terms of if they need to move around while they're learning, so long as they're not annoying anyone, they were free to do that. If they learned better in a group, they could do that. If they learned better in a quiet, secluded space, there were spaces provided for them to do that. Obviously not all day, every day. I mean, there were times where they'd have to be sitting on their chair listening, but I really liked that they were sensitive to the different needs of kids as they're learning. The high school my boys are at is obviously less like that, because I think that would just be chaos in a high school. It's very much more like how I remembered high school in South Africa. I don't know what high school is like in South Africa now, but it just kind of reminds me of when we were at high school. I don't know, I'm finding this question really difficult to answer for reasons I've already stated. So if you want to know what the schools are like in the area that you're looking at moving to, get in touch with the school, as also mentioned earlier in the video. Go and check it out. Ask them about their curriculum, ask them about their policies and how things are taught and what their policy on homework is, and just get in touch with not only the school, but if you can, with parents in the area as well. There are good schools and bad schools, but even in a good school you could have a crappy teacher. We've had that experience and it was horrible. Or in a bad school you could have amazing teachers and your kids can have a good experience. So speaking to other parents is usually very helpful. Okay, I feel like I'm actually just rambling now. I so badly want to answer your questions, but I'm not always able to. But I hope that the questions that I have addressed in this video have been helpful to you. If you have any more questions, feel free to leave them in a comment below or via email, and I will put it into a future video. I do still have a pile of questions to answer. I'm planning on filming a similar video to this with my husband Grant, and he can share his thoughts as well. I will link my Moving to New Zealand playlist down below and over here as well if you want to see other videos on this topic, tips for immigrating, dealing with homesickness, and all of my other Moving to New Zealand Q&A videos. They're all in that playlist, and hopefully they'll be helpful to you if you are planning on making the move yourself. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and to click the notification bell so that you don't miss a video. I upload 4 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday and Saturday at 9 AM New Zealand time. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.